Hey everybody, today I am going to be reviewing Presence. This was directed by Steven Soderbergh. Soderbergh has always been an interesting filmmaker to me in that he dances kind of freely on both sides of the aisle. It's like he dabbles in independent filmmaking, but also in like more glossy commercial filmmaking. But here he is taking a stab at an archetypal ghost story that is using the domestic life of a modern family to explore themes about loss, pain, tragedy, but there is a twist to the film, and it is that you are experiencing everything through the paranormal gaze. So it is through the first-person perspective, again, through the eyes of this ghost, this presence that is going to grow throughout the film, and it's trying to gain the family's attention. This presence is not just a voyeur, it's not just a spectator. It's obviously it is slowly hovering and listening in on conversations, and it's absorbing material on these people. So there's that, but it's using that information so that it can take action in a certain way, so it can involve itself in the situation. One of the keys to the film that made it enjoyable for me is that it took the time to make the family relatable, and I think they reflect typical American life and reflecting traditional American values or lack thereof. And there are all kinds of typical conflicts within the relationships. There's you have the teenage daughter, and she's like the free-spirited, insightful dreamer of the group. And she instantly connects to the ghost when they move into the house because of her, her perceptiveness or whatever. And then you have her brother, who is, very different from her. He's like a jock. He's kind of more of a bully, but extroverted, sensory. He's driven for success, but he's not particularly sensitive to his sister's depression or her dilemmas. And it's a very typical sibling relationship that I think you can latch onto, because it takes the time to show, like the ugliness, but also the love, the tension. I actually like the dad. I think that was maybe my favorite performance in the whole movie. I mean, it's an incredibly small cast, but he's more burly. He kind of has a beefiness to him, but I like the contrast because he's more sullen. There's like a sensitive perceptiveness that he has that, connects him to his daughter. Despite how lost he is in his marriage, he has that connection with her, and I really love that. And then you have the mother who, she's the most aloof, the most dismissive of the group in the family. She resents her daughter, but she has this closeness to her son. And, again, that's something else that happens all the time in families, whether consciously or unconsciously. All of these interworkings combined with like the more mundane aspects of life that it's showing, it was believable and solid enough to where I wanted to follow these people, and I was rooting for this family always, even when, the writing can be awkward at times. And I found the effect of the POV camera, of the ghost to be kind of cool on a basic level. I don't think that it detracted from the drama at all. I like that there's a wideness to everything when it comes to the camera. Like, yes, it is soaking everything in, almost like a newborn. And then there are these subtle distortions. It's the mix of this fluidity and control, but then it has like these jolts, and it's intense. There's a weight to the sound design, and the air is thick. It feels like another person is in there with you that you can't see. And I think, again, that's the whole point, is being able to capture that mood, and I think that they did that well. Of course, I am questioning the gimmick, as I always do. It's like, why would you choose to do this? What makes this special? What sets it apart from just making it the, like the normal traditional way? And like I said, I enjoyed the film as it stands, but I don't think it necessarily enhances anything or is particularly ambitious. And yes, there are hints of deeper musings going on here. It's like there are meta aspects that are speaking more on like voyeurism and control. One of my favorite moments is when the daughter is talking about her best friend dying, and she talks about how she wishes she could have been in the room with her, or she could have been in that pain with her, not necessarily stop it, but just be in it with her. And that's, I think, a really powerful line, and I think it's an anchor point for the film. It's that lingering mood in the movie, unspoken, that I just love. Again, it's that weight. You feel this burden in the air, like a pain that is growing bigger and bigger. To me, this movie is like having a hand clasped so tightly over your mouth when you need to scream out of desperation. And, that inherently is devastating, and it gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, if these walls could talk. Or to be a fly on the wall when that happened. And there is just a mysticism in the air, but I do like that the movie weaves in more solid thematic elements, such as, the possibility of God being, in these people's lives to a degree, guiding them, hope in the midst of, terrible circumstances. And I guess I appreciated that from a narrative perspective because it kept everything cohesive in a refreshing way. This is a concise film, so there's very little fat to trim, but I do think if it wanted to really touch that nerve with audiences, catch on, it needs more oomph. There are glaring flaws in the film that I think they do detract from the experience. And I think it's mainly because we go into more reductive cliches and it doesn't feel organic, especially when you've built the characters in such a way. And the climax for me didn't work. In fact, I wish they would reshoot it because it felt cheap compared to kind of the heft of the experience up to that point. I do think it could have been properly bone-chilling if it had been executed properly, but the performance is an issue. It's one of those like, oh, really? We're going with that take? And the writing of that particular section I thought was pretty bad. And yeah, I don't know. I think I wanted a more nuanced conclusion. But I have to say the ending, the final moments of the film are quite powerful when you realize what the ghost is or what they're implying. And it's devastating and it stays with you. And it does actually make you want to go back and watch the film with, that new perspective, even though it's probably not going to be as good on a second viewing. But it was an emotional gut punch. And I just think if the film, infused the proper ambition and, maybe better writing, a little more spice, it could have really landed. And again, I just wish that the gimmick of the camera use, the point of view, I wish it had maybe a stronger purpose, not just within the narrative as a function, but also thematically. Because as I said, it's kind of a cool spin on things, but I don't see why it couldn't have been just as good or, if not better, in a more classical way. And there are definite missed opportunities, but I would absolutely stream this. I don't think it's, worth a full price, partially because it's so short, but yeah, I think it's entertaining and I recommend it. January movies tend to be pretty bad, so I'm glad that this one wasn't. But that is my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to plug my website as always. It is deepfocuslens.com. I'm an artist. I do commissioned portraits and I also sell prints of my work. If that is something that you're interested in, you can always go to the website below. And if you have a question about a commission or a print, you can always email me. My email is in the description box below as well. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons who are great. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Welcome to all the new members. If you are interested in supporting, the link for that is below, as well as the rest of my social media information. You can watch more videos here, and you can subscribe if you'd like. Catch you next time.